Immigration official Ken Cuccinelli saying that ICE is indeed ready to deport upwards of 1 million undocumented immigrants, or those whose cases have already been adjudicated and they're ready to be deported. That might prove easier said than done, finding them, and particularly when you're dealing about sanctuary cities and towns and states that harbor them, whether there'll be any cooperation at all with federal authorities trying to retrieve them. Indiana Republican Congressman Jim Banks with us right now. Congressman, good to have you.
Great to be with you.
I don't know, and you and I were chatting briefly during the break, where they come up with that number, but obviously it's a consistent number, 800,000 to 1 million, but the process is going to be tough, right?
No doubt about it. But the American people, certainly Hoosiers in my district, appreciate that this administration is doing what we've long expected them to do, to deport those who have had their day in court, who have, most of them, by the way, did not show up for their day in court. They've received court orders to return to their country of origin. They've defied that court order. And by estimates of this administration, nearly 1 million have stayed here in spite of that.
So they're past their legal limit to keep on here and fight it back and forth, back and forth.
That's right. They've had their opportunity to go and seek asylum through the legal process. They were denied in court their legal status for asylum, have been ordered by the court to return home, and have stayed in our country illegally.
So this is not, just to clarify, the 12 million or more who are here illegally. These are the ones whose case have been adjudicated and they've been told to go and they're not going. But
to your question, Neil, I mean, the point of how does it get done? I think, at least where I come from in Northeast Indiana, Hoosiers appreciate that this administration is doing what should have been done long ago, at least go through the process and try to deport as many of these illegals who have stayed here in spite of having their day in court and being denied asylum, and deporting them back to their country of origin.
The law is on your side on this, Congressman, but as we were also chatting during the break, there's the image of seizing these individuals, and I always hearken back to remember Elian Gonzalez, the Cuban child who was secreted here to the U.S., and of course Janet Reno at the time, the Attorney General, said the law is the law. You have to go back to your dad in the United States, or in Cuba, I'll get it right. And that image at the time of a little boy being taken for all the right reasons, the legal reasons, just stuck in people's minds as cruel, inhumane. Could it happen again?
I don't know. But what I do know is that this administration is serious about enforcing the law. We are a country of laws. The rule of law matters to the Trump administration. But this isn't, as you and I talked about already, this isn't unprecedented. President Obama deported record numbers of illegals in the same situation who were denied asylum and returned them back to their country of origin, too.
He holds the record for all of this.
This administration, though, does, I mean, more than others, receive criticism from different media outlets and others. I'm sure that those optics will be, especially as we head into 2020, will be attempted to be used against the administration.
We didn't have a lot of video back in the days of President Obama pushing this, which was the law of the land. It's still the law of the land, but I think we have a lot of media who will be following this.
That being said, the optics of enforcing the law, though, that's certainly popular where I come from as well.
In other words, to send the message, you can't do this without thinking this is going to happen if you do. Right?
Yes.
How is this all going down? Like back in your district and all, the way the administration has handled the border issues, the way it's dealing with the migrant issue, the way it's dealing with these kids in these facilities. Now, I know a lot of those facilities were built during the Obama years. I know you talked about that and all. They're crowded, nevertheless, and the president gets fingered for being heartless. Do you think that's fair?
Sadly, it's not fair. I mean, this President Trump has done more to ask Congress for funding to update these detention facilities, and for 56 days in a row, he asked Congress to act and give him the funding that he needed to update the detention facilities. We finally passed that a couple of weeks ago before we left for this recess.
What did you make of the biggest critics of that, Congressman, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashid Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar? Didn't vote for that.
It's pure hypocrisy. I mean, where I come from, the families in my district who I spoke with when I was home for the July 4th recess, they see it for what it is. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashid Tlaib, others playing politics rather than acting and doing what needs to be done to take care of these detention facilities, so that we do have we are taking better care of these children and others who are being held until they have their day in court.
Now, a lot of them have been saying the reason why they voted against it is they didn't want our border folks still in charge of taking care of this, because they would be giving, put the fox in charge of the hen house.
Well, a lot of talk about these, especially the progressive wing of the Democrat Party supporting open borders. This would prove that to be the case. I mean, the bill that they were fighting for would have prevented any dollars from paying pay raises or paying our ICE officers, and just taking care of the basic fundamental needs of our border enforcement efforts at the border. So the AOC wing of the progressive wing of the Democrat Party opposed the bipartisan bill because it would allow for those efforts to be funded. It shows the hypocrisy of this wing.
Both sides agree on so much: taking care of the kids, improving these facilities, the room in these facilities, and yet it always gets driven apart.
That is the sad reality. I've only been in Congress for 2.5 years, and I'm baffled that there's 80% of the immigration issues that we agree on, and as we proved 2 weeks ago with this bipartisan bill, yet we can't come together to fix the fundamental needs.
It was hard fought, and it was bipartisan. Congressman, thank you.
Great to be with you.